Hello and welcome to the Imperfect Image Podcast, episode number fucking 27.
Woo woo! Hello! Welcome also to our holiday episode.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow. I was informed today that today is the last day of the year, which you'd think you would know, but you don't really know at the same time.
Did this message come by letter mail?
No, but what does, really? Like, I have enjoyed... I have developed a small new addiction of ordering things off Amazon, and I explained it to the wife as such. What else comes in the mail that's not a bill?
Right,
or
exactly.
McDonald's coupons.
Exactly.
So it's exciting. Like, the guy... Actually, I was a little bit frustrated the other day because Lauren was asleep, and what was I doing? I was sitting on the couch, so within view of the door, and the guy not only rings the doorbell, but rings it twice. Like, not ring, wait a little while because Jordan's taking a while. No, just ba-ding, ba-ding. Fuckface. Someone's asleep, and I'm right here. You could have just called through the window. Hello, this is Amazon. Like that.
You could have just been breathing heavily, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have been fine. But
that's your favorite way to be woken up from a nap is a delivery man breathing heavily.
This was like 8 a.m.
Right.
You don't ring doorbells at 8 a.m.
No, that's not okay. Not when a guy's on holidays.
Yeah. Dinkface. This week... Is this week brought to you by anything?
Well, I just got home from work, so it's not brought to me by anything yet. But
you got home from work and you haven't started drinking yet? What the fuck?
I know, right? I thought about grabbing something before you called, and then I got sidetracked, so I might have to make my way, especially since it is the holidays.
Well, as you go on the way, my episode from Airdrie here is being brought to you by Shock Top Belgian White. Belgian-style white ale. I don't know, what else do I got here? Brewed with coriander, orange, lemon, and lime peel. Like,
ooh.
Come on, people. I'm getting a little bit over Shock Top. I'll tell you what.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like once you go through 12, you don't really want a 13th, and I'm on number 11 and 12 here. And I think I might have had an extra at some point over the holidays. So we'll call it 12 and 13. So as I said, once you've had 12, you don't really want 13. But I'm going to give it a good go here today.
So it's not one of those timeless beers for you where you can drink them for the rest of your life.
No.
You need to go in spurts.
Like, it's not Heineken, Guinness, Belgian Moon. Those are the cream of the crop for me.
Right.
Well, I heard a pop and a jingle over there, so that means something got opened.
It's brought to you by something, but it's not anything you're going to be impressed by. However, it has made a long journey. So Brad and I basically thought we would bring back all our little Coronita bottles from Mexico that we hadn't drank.
Right.
Because we had these visions of making bulldogs, which we have the cups and holders for, but we've just been drinking the beers because, let's be honest, we're not doing anything home-related until we move. So I'm having a Coronita, and it's brought to you by the actual place of Mexico. It traveled.
The actual place of Mexico, opposed to that fictional Mexico that we call Mars.
Yeah, right. If you've ever wondered if Mexico is real or not, I have been there. It is real.
I've been there twice as well. Can confirm that the country is there. However... I always have this feeling traveling where I'll go somewhere and I think this could basically be right next to Calgary. Like, this could be an elaborate hoax. I don't actually go anywhere. Like, they just kind of circle in the air for a while and then land in another make-believe land. Very Truman Showy, but also a little like The Giver maybe or something like that.
That was what I was thinking when you were talking, was that if a TV series or movie doesn't exist for that exact concept,
yes,
you could make one.
Yeah, where basically they just repurpose wherever you've already been. It would be like if I went to White Rock when I was a kid, White Rock in BC, and then as an adult we were like, oh, let's go to Mexico. And all they do is change the scenery a little bit and turn up the heat.
Put a sombrero on and call it Mexico.
It's the same people, but someone with some shitty black mustache and a sombrero. Hola!
It's like, hey.
Spanish isn't even a real language. They're just making it up as they go.
That is funny. That makes me laugh.
Cerveza? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, let's go with cerveza. So
Yep.
on that note, let's try this one since we just mentioned it. Ashley,
Yes.
how is the weather affecting you?
Well, how is the weather affecting me? Today, the weather affected me because I had to walk home, which I do
Oh my
from
god.
time to time, and it was slippery. I have
really?
to tell you. It's a little bit slick out there, folks, so,
Sometimes we forget how much the weather affects the ground situation.
Well, my other thought, too, with the ground situation is it's New Year's Eve. And I was thinking that if only the weather had held out a couple more days, because, lots of women are going to be dressed scantily clad tonight or wearing heels, and it's slippery out there. You don't want to start your 2019 off with a twisted ankle because
I'll
you
tell
wiped
you
out
what.
on some snow.
Dressing like a hoe bag is tough in Calgary.
That is true.
I might edit that out, just in case.
You never know what you're going to get out there.
No, I'm not saying being a hoe bag is a bad thing.
Or that
But we
it's
can move
necessarily
on.
any easier in any other cities.
Maybe it's not. I don't know. Personally, I've never dressed like a hoe bag.
Which is a real shame for the world.
You know, it is, actually. It is. Like, when I wear a kilt, stockings up to the knees, undies, the whole shebang. Sorry, people. It's not out there for you.
Although I have been around you, not me specifically, it wasn't for me, obviously, but I have been around you a time or two where there were no undies under a kilt.
Now,
And you decided to do a deep squat.
there have been deep squats. There have been. You know what? My choice of bottoms, we'll say, is up to me, okay? So maybe I have dressed like a hoe bag in my life.
And I think lessons were learned. Sometimes you got to learn lessons.
In the Gaelic community, we describe it as authentic. Not hoe baggy, authentic.
See, and for us non-Gaelic folk, we just don't know the difference. It's really on us.
No, it's either like double-bagged wiener or single-bagged wiener is basically the way that you guys see it.
Right, exactly.
So let's move on.
Well, first of all, we haven't heard about how the weather is affecting you today.
Oh, touche. I haven't set foot outside yet today, so I have no opinion on the weather other than it's sunny, and I like that about Calgary.
It is sunny, that is true. We get a lot of sunlight in Calgary, so we are lucky for that. Thank goodness, because if we didn't, I would be a lot less happy than I am.
I'm going to change my answer there. The weather has affected me in a question mark sort of situation, because it brings up the idea that we haven't had much, say, minus 20 or any weather even close to that this winter yet.
Correct.
It's basically January, and we've had nothing more than, say, minus maybe 15 overnight.
Yep.
Which means that the world is fucked, and we're all going to die, and global warming is a big concern, but we do fuck shit about it. So
that's way too heavy for the folks today, I think.
oh, well, let's try this. Our next segment is Deep Thoughts,
Ooh.
which was not planned, but amazing segue. So I have a deep thought. I didn't ask you if you had a deep thought because it was just a quick thing that came up as I put this together.
Yeah.
If you have a deep thought after, please jump in. But my
Okay.
deep thought, you ready for this?
I am ready.
So I woke up in the middle of the night last night, as I do most nights because sleeping eludes me.
Yep.
The thoughts revolve a lot these days around the upcoming child and the shitty world we live in, and things like, oh fuck, what happens during birth, and I don't want to see my wife in pain, and all those types of things. Okay.
Yeah.
However, today's thought goes like this. My actions will raise my daughter more than any lessons I purposely teach her. Which,
Ooh.
I don't know if I like that. I've got all these, right? I've got thoughts on, say, religion. I've got thoughts on, say, the schooling system. I've got all these different, the way that I would like my daughter to be raised. The problem being that I think as social creatures and as, say, well, I don't even think it's just humans. I think it's animals in general learn a lot subconsciously. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah.
And everything that I think I'm teaching her, you could indeed be doing the exact opposite. Like my insistence on she understand why I like metal.
Yeah.
So that could come across as, yeah, Dad, I understand that. You like metal. I understand it. I actually like it as well. Or it could come across as, my dad's a fucking retard. I shouldn't use the R word, but I did. My dad's a fucking retard, and I don't like the stupid, angry music he listens to.
Yeah.
So regardless of the lesson that I actually try to teach, she could get the exact opposite.
Right, and you have very little control, what you're saying, on how she interprets the intended teaching.
As well as there's those unintended teachings, right? One of my big knocks on the style of parenting that my parents had is a lot of it comes across in a negative manner, right? So I understand that my dad was teaching me good lessons about, say, driving, but everything came across so negatively that I didn't pick up on the message, right? Or my mom very much values people working for their money. But what it comes across as is rich people are shit and struggling for your money is the way to go.
Right.
That's not the message she intended, but that's the way that it comes across. So any message that I send out there for my daughter very well could be construed completely differently, regardless of the actual words that come out of my mouth.
I actually have an additional deep thought that kind of contributes to yours that I was having just last night.
That's what I was hoping.
Yeah, so I didn't have anything unique, but it's funny because, and obviously we weren't talking about your parenting, but we were just talking about parenting in general and more, how Brad and I were brought up and just, relationships with parents and that kind of thing and qualities that we each have. And I was saying, for me, I find it interesting how I think some of my best qualities also are linked to some of my worst qualities.
Always, yeah.
And then you think back to where that came from. And I mean, a lot of them I see really, really good intentions by my parents and what they were intending the message to be. It's almost exactly what you're saying, which is kind of bizarre. Like the message is, work hard, do well, and you will succeed. And I mean, I feel like I've been successful in my life and things have gone well for me professionally and things like that. But that same drive is also a little bit of my neurosis and why I'm stressed all the time and anxious and I'm wanting to control every outcome. So how, as a parent, do you have those wonderful results, which I'm so thankful for that I am that way, but then not have them tied to this other side? There's not many things, I think, that don't have a plus and a negative to them.
So I'll add on to that with my own experience, and then if it's cool with you, I'm going to summarize right at the end, and then we can move on. Yeah?
Love it. Perfect.
So my own experience would be, I think, and I think I've been told this previously, that my best quality as a person is that I care probably more than anybody about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's the people around me or things like that's something about nerd culture, that sort of thing that is a similarity between a lot of people is when it comes to movies or music or TV or books or comic books or whatever, they tend to, the nerds who are into that stuff tend to be people who really, really care a lot about things. Like, just take a Trekkie, for example. Like, it's hard to explain to someone why someone would consider Star Trek the best show ever, but that person believes that so strongly. Or that would be like me with, the people in my life, or even, say, Manchester United or something like that. I just care a whole bunch. But that's also a negative thing, because I care so much about stuff that it's the same sort of thing as you. I have these neuroses, and I can't let stuff go. So it comes across negatively as well. So while I think that would be a fantastic lesson, and I would want my kid to care a lot, it's also not necessarily the most positive thing sometimes.
Yeah. In
summary, I feel as though parenting comes down to just fucking winging it constantly and seeing what happens. Mm-hmm. It's like baking a cake, but trying to bake a cake just with the shit in your pantry. Like
doing a little testing, seeing what works, backing away from things that didn't.
Yeah, and like you're going, okay, well, I shouldn't even say baking a cake. I'm going to say making a stir fry. You're like, oh, I've got sriracha sauce. I'm going to put some sriracha in. But I've also got this other, peppery, not hot sauce, but you know what I'm talking about? Like I'm trying to think of the name of this one. It's not coming to my brain. Harissa paste is like a Thai chili paste. Yeah. But it's not meant to just be a hot thing. It's supposed to be a flavor thing. But now you've got two hot things in there, so you got to balance it out with some sweet. So you put in some honey. But if you've got the honey in there, you're going to need some, fuck me, I don't know, something a little salty in there. So now you add soy sauce. Well, shit, now we're running into a problem where maybe we've got a little bit too much savory, and we've got to... You know what I'm talking about? I need some acid in this bitch is what I need.
Yeah, and then you put that splash in. Yeah, it's constantly evolving. And, I think it's neat for me because you will be the first close friend that I have that is going to have a baby and will be someone who I can have a real conversation with after you've had said baby about what is working, what isn't working, your lessons and stuff. I feel like those aren't conversations you have with most people.
No, but as you may have noticed on the podcast, to our 7 listeners, pretty much anything goes here. So this podcast might just change into how do I parent my child?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I fucked him up. What do I do? That's my Jerry Seinfeld. What do I do?
So, yeah, no, there'll definitely be evolutions for sure. I mean, we're not far away now, and that's very exciting.
And speaking of evolutions, what are you watching on Netflix?
Ooh, well,
movies, TV.
Yeah. You are always so pleased with the choices that I make that I'm sure this will be another example of you shaking your head at me.
I can't wait.
So the latest obsession that we found, and it was totally by chance, is, and I don't know why we keep watching UK programming, but
fun.
It's a reality show, so don't get too excited.
Less fun.
It's called Don't Pay, We'll Take It Away. And you watch one episode and you think, okay, well, I don't really know why I'm watching this, but it's so addictive, it's ridiculous. Basically, it's enforcement agents in the UK going to repossess homes, cars, collect on debts. It's a little bit of a different system than we have here. So, I mean, I imagine we don't have the same thing because I've never heard of it, where, yes, you can repossess a vehicle, or yes, you can have a debt collection, but this is them literally showing up at people's homes and getting the money somehow. And the first episode, you feel a little bit depressed. And then you just get hooked because it's not always the people that are in debt that you're cheering for, but sometimes it is, right? So we've powered through, honestly, 2 full seasons of it in a very short amount of time, and both really like the show. So it's interesting.
I don't have anything to say.
I knew you wouldn't. But if you like reality TV, which I tend to, and you like it based on something that you're not super exposed to, it's interesting. Obviously, we don't live in the UK, so how the UK collects on their debts is not something that matters to my day-to-day life, but the stories, maybe I relate to it a little bit because, I mean, I think we all have that fear of debt and what debt can bring and staying ahead of debt and staying ahead of our obligations and kind of the stories of people who have fallen behind and how they got there. And yeah, it's better than it sounds. Let's put it that way.
I sure hope it is. I just find it interesting. You're going at TV, how do I say this? In, maybe it's fair to say, sort of a mindless way. Like a lot of people throw on TV, like when I throw on the Food Network, I'm not really sitting there and going like, oh yeah, I'm going to write that down. Oh yeah, that's a great recipe. Yeah, oh, acid on top of fat balances it out. That's interesting. But I do learn those things over time. However, it is mostly just mindless TV. I don't put on Top Chef to change my own life by any means. I'm not looking for something deep. However, what we've been doing a lot in the last while is starting up series, maybe I'll say acclaimed series. So like when I started Outlander, it was highly recommended, and it's also one of the more critically acclaimed shows out there. And then recently, we started Orange is the New Black.
Oh, interesting.
Have you seen that?
I haven't. Do you like it?
Yeah, we're 7, maybe 8 episodes, something like that, into the first season. Really like it. Interesting characters. I would wager maybe not my favorite show ever so far, but I can see how things are building. Okay. So it starts out with... I want to say a fairly maybe educated high-class girl that goes into prison for, I don't want to say seemingly innocuous circumstances, but, maybe not the worst things in the world, but she also did some bad shit. So yeah, you should probably be in prison for a while. But you start to find out that compared to the other people in prison, maybe not someone who really, really needs to be in prison, if that makes sense. Yeah. However, then you start seeing how prison changes people, and you start to see maybe like a little bit of the trade of goods, solitary confinement, and then sort of some of the politics of prison. And I can see the show really building into something that's probably going to be pretty memorable. It was like Breaking Bad. The first couple seasons of Breaking Bad, it was hard for me to watch it. It just didn't captivate me. But then by the end of it, holy shit.
So I struggle, as you know, to get into anything that seems like a big commitment. And I think that's why I start with things like this. But you know what? I mean, we powered through so much of that once it hooked me in, that if we had started something like Orange is the New Black, I'd probably be on season 2 by now. So I think there's probably more that I need to do. I mean, the big series that we're still watching is This Is Us.
Yeah.
And I can probably only handle one at a time. And then any other time I sit down in front of the TV, you're right, it's just kind of throw it on. But I tend to do that with Netflix rather than cable for some reason. And maybe it's because I didn't have cable for so long that I just kind of default to, let's see what's on Netflix today. So yeah,
I often throw on something on Netflix. Like I think I had put on here that I was watching The Toys That Made Us. I think I said that on here. I fall asleep watching that show more than I probably actually watch it.
Right, yeah.
But it's the kind of show, it really doesn't matter from episode to episode if you keep up with the story. Same sort of thing with like a cooking show. We were watching Guy's Grocery Games the other day, and if I had fallen asleep, it wouldn't have changed my life one bit.
Right, exactly.
But there are those series that I try to pay attention to them. I might fiddle around on my phone or something like that, but you do mostly pay attention to it.
Yeah, and I mean, that's exactly what This Is Us is for me. When This Is Us is on, I won't touch my phone. If anyone gets up, I pause it. I'm very much like that with TV in general. I just like to see every detail. But yeah, I mean, I make it such a commitment that if I'm going to just numb out with something, it can't be a series. That's for sure.
And when you're watching This Is Us, you don't want to be touching your phone too much because the tears make your phone slippery. And I mean, you don't need to be going through phones all the time, right? As well
exactly.
as there's a battery in there. Like, you could kill yourself with that fucking thing. It's like sitting in the bathtub with a hairdryer, Ashley. Just don't touch your phone while you're watching that show.
That's exactly right.
So speaking of sad things, I had texted your man yesterday. Because I flipped on the TV and there was some NFL football on. And I thought, let me see. It was the Patriots that were on. And I really don't have any desire to watch them. I just can't stand that fucking team. However, the hatred became even more because I had texted Brad and said, hey, I see that the Bills are on. Do you get the channel that they're on? And basically the response I got was, out of 5 TV stations that were showing, out of all the TV stations that he had playing NFL, which I think he has an NFL package as well, the Bills were not on any of them. However, the Patriots were on 5 different stations. This stuff drives me nuts.
It was frustrating, and it was an important game to Brad because one of the longest running players on the Bills was retiring and he wanted to watch the game. And yeah, it was weird. It was very true. Every channel had that Patriots game on. It's like, can't one throw a Bills game on?
So I get confused by this because basically what usually happens with sports is they play the teams that are going to get the most viewership. Now, for someone like me who doesn't really have an NFL team, I mean, I like the Seahawks, but I don't really care that much. I'm mostly wanting to turn on and watch a good game, which means big plays, exciting events, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which generally means it's going to be, say, the top 10, 12, maybe 15 teams that are the most exciting. In something like the NFL, there's no second league. So if you finish bottom of the pack, i.e. the Bills, it just doesn't matter. You become nothing to the league, and you become nothing to the casual fan, right?
Yeah.
In something like English soccer, there is another league underneath, and then under that, and then under that. But what that means is there's excitement on both ends of the table.
Right.
The only way there's not really excitement is if you're someone like Everton or something of the sort, where they generally finish kind of middle of the table. They might make a little push into a few of the higher up positions, but they never really suck enough to go bottom. I believe they have the record right now for the longest running time in English top flight football. So, when I'm trying to watch the top teams, which generally my Man United are near the top, and I go to turn on the game, and it's not on any of, say, the 10 stations that could be playing that game, I get very confused.
Yeah.
You're getting, like, Burnley versus Wolverhampton, and nobody cares about that whatsoever. Right. However, later in the season, it still could be exciting because they could be fighting to not drop down a league, which is a huge deal. Like, it's one of the largest, we'll say, financial disparities in all of world sports. Going from the top flight of English football to the second flight is astronomical financially, as well as fan base-wise, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I just, in general, get really frustrated when you go to turn on the TV to watch a game, and it's not on, even though there's anywhere from 5 to 10 stations that could be playing that game.
And that was the only thing about it that was weird, because, I mean, there aren't going to be that many people that need to see the Bills game in Alberta. I get that. And they're also isn't anything riding on it anymore. But having said that, that makes sense if there was one channel
Yeah.
and you pick the best game. But yeah, when you have that one game on multiple channels, it just doesn't give any value anymore. It was just bizarre. And
Yeah.
I haven't really paid attention before. And we have not had a problem yet, but I think now, knowing they're out, they've now focused all of their attention on only the teams that are in. So yeah, it's a weird system.
Well, it's exactly that, and it all comes down to money, right? So
Yeah.
having the Bills on, who realistically not that many people are going to watch, versus having the Patriots on 5 stations, the advertising revenue that you can make off one Patriots game versus even a career-ending, fan favorite game on the Bills, it's not financially feasible, which sucks for the fan. But basically, they have to go, well, we care more about the advertising revenue than we do about you watching your own fucking game.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense from a business perspective when you put it that way. But
It does. It's just frustrating.
well, and NFL is so unique, I think, as well in how the last week or so goes, where everything has been essentially decided for the most part. I mean, there's always a little bit of wild card fight and interest, but for the most part, everything's been decided. So, I mean, teams that normally would win games are sitting those players to keep them healthy, which makes sense. But, I mean, it's just a bizarre wind up to the season anyway.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And then, to have these games that just are totally basically excluded. Yeah, it's something I've never noticed before, but...
Well, there you go. The politics of sports, people.
The politics of sports. They are a big deal.
Even though this segment was called This Week in Sports, we got onto some fairly deep financial and political implications of major sports leagues. The next major implication on This Week in Sports, which is, I guess, a little over a week, but fuck you, we're doing it anyways. Manchester United let Jose Mourinho go. We were without a manager for something like 5 hours, and then they brought an well, I guess not ex, but a United legend. He was a striker at one point, maybe, I think it was late 1990s, early 2000s. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm not good with his name, but anyways, he's a Danish dude. But he's come on. We've won, what is it now, 3 games in a row? I think it's been 3 games. Pogba scored 4 goals. He's our big expensive midfielder. And he had scored, I think, 3 goals in like all of Mourinho's tenure or something of the sort. Or at least the last year, something like that. But it's ridiculous. Like the feeling around everything, like the articles you read, even just kind of listening to the stadium when you watch the games, is completely different. It's like going from like grade 5 kids doing long division, and then the recess bell goes, and just the elation in a child's eyes is the way that Man United supporters seem to feel right now.
So how does one person make such a difference?
Okay, well, I'm glad you asked that, because my next point is managing styles. So I feel as though there are very, very few cases where you will see someone who is long-term successful that has, I want to put it, like a negative managing style or coaching style. I don't feel as though the youth anymore, which is really who's in, say, the NFL, the CFL, baseball, soccer, all of that. You have to think of those guys as youth, because once you get above 25, which might make you, somewhat of an established adult, you're no longer at the top of that sport. Or you're starting to find your way out of it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So you're really talking about youth, and I really don't think that today's youth can be managed in a negative style, where when you screw up, you get absolutely shit on. Or if you don't act appropriately in the media, you get called out by your manager. Those types of things, I think you will see less and less and less and less of that, because I don't think kids' psyches can deal with that. They need to be coddled in a certain way. As well, these are players that, since the time that they started their sport, have been treated like the special one. So something I think about with sports a lot is, if you take, say, the Calgary Flames, every single player on the Calgary Flames has been the best player on their team for all of their life. Right? They either fit a specific need, like and we don't have that much in NHL anymore. There aren't those enforcers, that sort of thing. So that's less so. So you realistically probably have a collection of whatever it is, 18 skaters, I think it is, that have always been the best player on their team and always told that they're special, and their parents thought they were special, and their coaches and their teachers thought they were special. And then they get to the NHL. You can't have like a Don Cherry style coach who's just going to scream at them and berate them anymore. And that's sort of what Mourinho was. He's kind of a moody guy. He caused a lot of drama on his own because of his I don't want to say aggressive nature, but he's very confrontational with the media and that sort of thing. You need the guy who goes into the press conference, has a smile on his face, says nice things about his team, and then goes into the locker room and does the exact same thing and hopes that they do well the next week. That seems to be the way that coaching has to go now.
Right, yeah.
So you take Mourinho out and you put Solskjaer in, and if you see a picture of him, he's just got this baby face, always has a smile on. But I think the biggest difference there is he was not, I don't want to say he was at the top of the Manchester United squad, but he is a legend. Like, he's one of, say, 10, 12 players where you would go, those are probably some of the best we've ever had. And that would be like your Ronaldos and Beckhams. Eric Cantona was a French guy. And Solskjaer very much fit a role. He was a goal scorer. He's just an absolute legend. But he was there at the time that we won a shitload of titles and everything was going perfectly. So he knows the United way, if that makes sense. And I don't mean the United way like the United way, but he knows the Manchester United way. It's this idea of, we don't lose. We are better than everybody in the world. We are the best club in the world. We're the biggest club in the world. We're the richest club in the world. Even though that's not necessarily true right now, that's the way that we believe.
Yeah, right.
And we, being myself in this cult, has definitely drank the Kool-Aid.
Absolutely, you have.
And we are the best. And fuck everybody else. So,
well, that's cool. So lots of excitement in your world then for what's to come for your team.
Huge excitement. And nice to read positive articles about, how well the team is doing and the good changes they're seeing and that positive feeling versus constant just negative. And you're hearing about players wanting out and, backroom drama and that sort of thing. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear positivity and we're the best. That's what I want to hear. Well, I got to tell you what, kid. I think we're on to the big segment of the day.
Oh, the one we've all been waiting for?
Are we ready for this to round out 2018? Maybe we do a nice, big, fat, smoking pile of what's more metal.
Absolutely, I'm ready.
So you've got your list?
Mm-hmm.
I've got my list. Who wants to go first? Flip a coin.
Heads.
Heads. Oh, there you go. So you go first.
All right. Let me walk you through my what's more metal list. So first we're going to start with, what is more metal, salt or pepper?
I like that. You're going to have to clarify a little bit for me. Are we talking about like floofy doofy pink Himalayan sea salt? Or are we talking good old fashioned NaCl table salt?
Table salt and just ground pepper from a
Just
shaker.
ground black pepper, hey?
Exactly. The basics. They're
So,
sitting there on the table. What's more metal?
In my experience, if I'm going to put those two ingredients in a meal, the one that really kicks me in the face is actually the salt. I don't taste ground black pepper a lot. It doesn't have enough of a punch for me. So when it's always, you got to season every part of your dish with salt and pepper, I don't really do the pepper because it doesn't do much for me. I need I need a sriracha sauce or something, or I need chilies in there. So I'm going to say what hits me in the face the most is the salt. How do you feel about this?
I think salt is more metal because salt is the one that gets the bad rap.
Yeah.
And I think the metal way of living is to say, hey, salt, you want to fuck with me? Come fuck with me. I'm going to put you on my food anyway.
Hey, man, you want to fuck with me? I'll fuck with you, man. I'll give you heart disease.
I dare you to raise my blood pressure.
I fucking dare you. Come on, try it, bitch. All right, I'm going for one.
One
here.
and one? Yeah, perfect.
What's more metal? Working on an hourly wage or a salary wage?
Ooh, excellent. It's got to be working on an hourly wage for me.
Okay.
Salary feels like you've really committed to the man, and that doesn't seem that metal to me, right? So hourly says, yeah, I'll take your money, but it's going to be on my terms when I want to be there.
Interesting, because you've actually convinced me otherwise now.
Ooh.
I am going to say that salary is more metal for me because I originally was going to say hourly is more metal because salary sounds like you've really gotten comfortable in your role. Like you take sick days and actually get paid for them, that kind of bullshit. However, in my life, if things are not going well and I need to be comfortable, I put on metal. There's something about it that just really calms me down and makes me feel comfortable. So on the comfort level alone, I'm going salary is more metal.
More metal. Nice. See, it's great when one answer sways the other to the opposite answer.
I love it.
That's the best part about the what's more metal game.
I'm almost done the second shock top, so.
Oh, there we go. That is very metal in itself.
I don't know if shock top's metal.
Shock top is not metal, but downing beers during a podcast is very metal.
Slamming some brewskis, bro.
All right, so what's more metal of these two Christian-affiliated holidays? Christmas or Easter?
Can I go... I'm going to go
Love how I pointed out the Christian affiliation.
There is Christian metal. There is.
True. That is true.
And I know at least one band that I actually like that's Christian metal. Anyways, I'm going to go one day farther. And I'm going to say Boxing Day is the most metal.
Okay.
So Lauren just told me the other day that there's still the stat that Boxing Day in Canada is the largest day of commerce. There is no more day that more things are purchased than Boxing Day. So, as with that, I would say Christmas being attached to Boxing Day and being attached to the absolute satanic gluttony of purchasing presents for every person you've ever met in your life makes that more metal than Easter.
and on that note as well, with Boxing Day, what is more metal than a holiday where people can get trampled? Not that we trample in Canada, but where fights and injuries may ensue from shopping.
It is definitely the most mosh pit holiday, for sure. Boxing Day is.
I'm gonna also go with Christmas being more metal.
Yep.
I had, you know what, but it's funny, as I said that, the argument I was going to make actually makes me think Easter's more metal. So I'm going to say Easter's more metal, because the true metalhead is going to reject the consumerism that modern day society has pushed on him, but
Okay.
and isn't going to want to participate in that.
I'm going to quickly disagree and say that is not the case whatsoever, being someone who loves metal and has already said that he has a minor addiction to buying things on Amazon. However, please go ahead.
Also, what could possibly be more metal in your mind than, things like Easter bunnies and pink and yellow. Okay, so we're back to Christmas is more metal. There's just no way around it. Santa's way more of a badass than the Easter bunny is, so we're going to have to go with Christmas being more metal.
I would agree. Santa comes down the fucking chimney, and chimneys have fire, and fire is metal.
Awesome. Perfect. Right. That one was a tough one. I went all over there.
Yeah, I think what we figured out is that Thanksgiving is in factually the most metal.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, Ashley. What's more metal? Spiced rum or dark rum?
Ooh.
I did not put white rum because white rum is not metal, because white rum goes in girly drinks, although a metalhead might be comfortable drinking girly drinks. Anyways, spiced rum, dark rum, go for it.
I think dark rum is more metal.
And why?
Spiced rum, I don't care how you try to order spiced rum, and I don't care how delicious it is, or how much of it you put in your cup. It's still got enough of that little pizzazz that takes away from the metal. Dark rum can be quite smooth, but it slaps you on your ass way harder in my mind than a spiced rum. Spiced rum and the flavor of it kind of eases you into drinking. And I think metal just goes straight for the booze forward feel. And to me, dark rum is more booze forward-y.
So I've got two answers, actually. I'm going to say that the most metal shot is a Burt Reynolds, because Burt Reynolds was metal as fuck. That sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
The Burt Reynolds shot is equal parts spiced rum and butter ripple schnapps. Okay?
Yep.
However, the most metal rum is Kraken. Everyone knows that. It's just the way it is. And that is the darkest of dark rums.
Right. I see your dilemma there. But
so
both
overall,
excellent arguments.
Yes. Overall, I gotta say dark rum is more metal, but spiced rum is represented by the most metal shot.
You know what, though? And I accept your argument, but for what you presented, I would say that would almost persuade me to say spiced rum is more metal, because if spiced rum can get mixed with something as sweet and delicious as butterscotch flavored anything and still come out metal at the end, it must be really fucking metal.
It's gotta be. Be. We've swayed the jury. What was that? Spiced rum it is, folks. Spiced rum it is. That was a 6-3 vote.
Oof.
Yes.
Someday we'll introduce the jury.
We should introduce the jury. That would be amazing. Jury, we're going to need a verdict on that. Let's go to the Peanut Gallery. Oh, thank you, Peanut Gallery. It is spiced rum, 6-3.
All right. What is more metal, Survivor or Amazing Race?
Survivor fucking sucks, okay? I just gotta say that. It's boring. We all know what's gonna happen. People are gonna bitch about being fucking hungry and stuff. There's plenty of food. No one's actually in danger. Fuck Survivor. Amazing Race is metal. Because they do shit like hang people from like... What was the one? Where they basically have to try to like tightrope walk almost across like a canyon. Yes, they're strapped in, but that's terrifying as shit. That is the devil's work, and Amazing Race is more metal.
I also agree with you. Amazing Race is more metal. I think just on the basis of the fact that we all know what jet lag and constant travel does to a body.
Yeah.
That in itself is pretty metal. I mean, traveling all the time and
That's
such.
Fair
so
enough.
I feel like it's way more metal to be on the move than sitting on a beach trying to survive.
Yep. 100%. Fuck Survivor. What is more metal? You ready for this one?
Oh, I'm ready.
The largest bird in the world, the ostrich. Or the most iconic bird in the world, the bald eagle.
Ooh. I gotta go with the bald eagle on this one.
Interesting.
It was a gut feel thing because I pictured both of them quite vividly when you said each of their names. And the ostrich made me giggle, and the bald eagle just made me almost tremble in fear. I feel like a bald eagle, while a nice and wonderful creature, I would be more scared of if it were pissed off at me than I would an ostrich. And
Really?
I probably can't outrun an ostrich.
No.
But in my mind, something that's on foot running it scares me a lot less than something flying and coming and attacking my hair.
You're worried about the dive bomb.
Exactly.
In which
Dive
case,
bomb seems very metal to me.
If that's what you're saying, then a peregrine falcon is the most metal animal in the world.
That could be true.
Interesting. I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I'm going to say a bald eagle represents the United States of America, and Trump is the single least metal person that has ever existed. He is, in fact, one of the worst people that's ever existed, and that can't fall into a metal category.
Right.
So I'm going to go ostrich, and I'm also going to go ostrich because they kind of don't dress nicely. You know, they've definitely got a thing, but it's not a thing like the bald eagle really tried. You know, it put on the white toque and shit. That's not metal. You know, it's got like nice colored claws and all that shit. Ostriches are just what the fuck they want to be, people. Take me or leave me. I am a humongous, like, man-bird velociraptor thing.
Jordan is a fan of the ostrich, folks.
I didn't know I was until today.
Okay, what is more metal? Having a small wedding or a big wedding?
Whew. I'm going to go small wedding. Because the metal thing to do at a wedding is get so drunk that people talk about you after. And at a large wedding, I think that person could get kind of lost in the crowd. But at a small wedding, you know exactly who is just shit can't even stand up on the dance floor kind of shit canned. That's metal.
I'm also going to go small wedding. My biggest reason is it's easier to pay for open bar at a small wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like a very metal thing to do.
So what are you trying to tell me here, Ashley? Are we talking about a small wedding in the future that's going to be open bar?
No, this is not any sort of commentary on my wedding, but that seems pretty metal to me. Let's put it that way.
Interesting. I will tell everyone out there, I know for a fact that the dress attire of Ashley's wedding is described as casual, which will be a kilt, but as it's not a formal occasion, it will be an undies-less kilt.
Ooh, we'll lucky us. Absolutely. Yes.
Just sharing it with family, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know what? We want everybody to be comfortable. And if a kilt with no undies is how you feel comfort, then come on down.
We'll have to see what the weather looks like. We'll have another one. How's the weather affecting you? And right before your wedding, I'll record a podcast on whether it's hot enough for an undies-less kilt or not.
Yeah, it's tough that time of year. I don't know, you might have to have a backup outfit just in case.
Yeah, 2/3 the way. Yeah, just a backup pair of undies in my sporn. Don't worry, guys, I got my backup outfit. I spilled something on this one. I'll just get my backup outfit out.
Oh, that's awesome.
Am I up here?
You're up.
Okay. This one, I had to rewrite a couple times, but I think I've got it. What is more metal, a Rottweiler or a Pit Bull?
Ooh, damn, he comes with a hard one now at me. This is tough because one argument kind of goes for both. I'm going to say the pit bull is a little bit more metal.
Kate?
Um,
I plan on rocking your world at the end of this, by the way.
yeah, no, I'm sure you do. And it's tough to formulate exactly how I think that that's the case. I think the pit bull is more metal because I feel they're very similar breeds in the poor way that they're portrayed. The breed itself, not, anything about the upbringing of the breed or anything like that, but the breed itself. But I feel like the pit bull's the real, if you're going to be a crusader against large dogs who you believe are aggressive, for some reason the pit bull is the number one, I think, even over a Rottweiler. So
fair enough.
It's more metal because I think you're going to be the most likely to encounter ignorance.
Yep.
And you're going to have a lot of work to do. So that to me is quite metal.
Okay. Now I have a thought on the whole raising pit bull situation.
Okay.
I understand, and it is my belief, that the way the dog is raised is how it will come out.
Right.
So whether it's a pit bull or it's a Maltese, saying, just throwing a dog out there, no reason. No one would ever buy one of those.
No, never.
I do think it comes down to the owner. The problem with that argument to me is, how many times do you watch the news and hear of a pit bull biting a kid? Is it just that everyone who buys pit bulls is a fucking moron? Or is there maybe something in the genetics? I'm not saying there is. I do start to wonder after a while,
Yep.
why don't you hear of more black labs biting people? They're capable of it, but it doesn't happen.
Well, there's got to be a lot of assholes that own black labs.
Totally. I don't know. That's just a thought. That's a thought on that whole situation. However, the reason that Rottweilers are more metal is not because it's a Rottweiler, it's because it's not a pit bull. Because it's less of what a pit bull is and more of who pit bull is. And that is not metal, if you're following me.
Oh, wow. Pit bull is not metal. That is correct.
No.
Never has a truer statement been spoken.
So we're kind of left with Rottweiler at that case.
Yeah,
However,
exactly.
In that case, you could put Maltese against pit bull, not a pit bull, but pit bull, and a Maltese would still win.
Would be more metal. I like that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Little dogs have that fucked up aggression thing too. Just like Sam next door. Sam, stop. Sam.
So if you hear the dog, do you ever want to open the window and go, Sam,
could you stop that, Sam? Maybe stop. Maybe no. Sam. Stop it, Sam. Yes,
That's
I do
awesome.
want to do that.
You should. You probably should.
The dog on the other side, whose name I don't know and don't care, I talk to it now in hopes that the owner's here. So when it's barking, I'll just kind of, as I'm walking down the back path, just go like, "Oh, it's nice to hear from you today. What's that? No, I don't have anything for you. No, I don't plan on jumping the fence. It's nice that you want to bark at me. I do appreciate your voice." And I think they did hear me one time because they took it in pretty quickly. So that's my passive-aggressive way of telling people to raise their dogs properly.
I love it. Oh, man. That's perfect.
Although, as we were doing this segment, I could hear Lauren downstairs yelling at the dogs for barking at the window.
Well, good on you for bringing that up.
Thanks.
Because you didn't have to.
Well,
but
it's funny, though. They
love that window.
They've definitely got that aggressive, protecting the house thing.
Yeah.
But you're aware, when someone comes in, the only one that could be aggressive is Banner, and he'll go, and then he'll just run across the room and hide in the corner.
Exactly.
He's not aggressive. He knows his limits.
Yeah, exactly. He'll bark up to the point that he can handle himself, and then he realizes, okay, that's as far as I can take it.
Yep.
Okay, last round.
Okay.
What is more metal? Going to the movies and ordering movie theater popcorn or movie theater nachos?
Oh, Christ. I'm going to go with a fairly obvious answer, and I'm going to say it's the movie theater nachos. Because I feel specifically at a movie theater, not as many people go for the nachos, even though they will give you the same salty sensation and satisfaction. People just don't seem to gravitate towards it. You've got to really, you would have to look at the menu for a second and go, oh, they have nachos. Yes, I feel like nachos. Versus popcorn is just like your person turning on, one of the pop radio stations and just be like, bop, chicka, chop, da, boom, bop, bibbly, bop, da, bop, boom, bop. And it's just mindless bullshit. Didn't know you were getting bop today, did you?
Well, we're all better off for it.
Yay, yay.
You probably could have been part of Hanson.
I might have been, actually.
So this one was a weird one for me because for some reason when I was sitting down to write my list, this one kept coming up over and over in my mind, and I kept putting it off, and that's why it's at the bottom of my list, but I kept thinking about it. So I felt the need, and maybe it's my love of the movies that I felt the need.
Okay.
I'm going to go with the movie theater popcorn is a little bit more metal because I feel like metal tries to make their money go further. That seems metal to me, making your money go further. I don't know why. Maybe just, to me, it's very pop or rap star-ish to blow your money. Metal, you don't hear so much about the extravagance of metal. So I think somewhere behind the scenes, metal's being a little bit more frugal.
Yeah.
And I mean, movie theater snacks are really ridiculously priced, but if you pay for the popcorn, that thing's going to last you.
It's true.
You're going to have it for the whole movie if you want. You could take that thing home, maybe multiple days worth. Exactly.
Interesting.
So I think the metal choice is to spend your hard-earned dollars on the popcorn.
I like that because metal people work hourly.
Yeah.
And can't always afford the frivolities of life like nachos. Okay. This is the last one, hey?
This is it, yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about this, I miscounted, and while you were talking there, I had to come up with another one.
Ooh,
Looking on my desk, things to note on my desk are microphones that are no longer being used, pens, speaker, external hard drive, 2 empty beers, and a harmonica. What is more metal, Ashley? A harmonica or an accordion?
Oh. I have to go with harmonica.
Uh-huh.
I've never, ever seen anyone play an accordion or mention the accordion and thought that they would be anything even closely resembling metal.
Okay.
The only person I can think of that plays an accordion must also wear suspenders.
Yes.
And I don't feel like suspenders in the way that I'm thinking of
Yeah.
go with metal. So harmonica comes out around the campfire. That could be pretty metal.
Fire's metal. Yep.
Harmonica is really for the everyday man. So I'm going to go with harmonica.
Now I'm going the exact opposite because the harmonica is for the everyday man. Me not being overly musically gifted can pick up a harmonica and make something that sounds half decent. I can also pick up a note sheet and play a song within about 10 minutes. It is possible. However, metal is not about being accessible. Metal is about, like, if you really listen, there aren't really metal bands that suck at playing their instruments. And if there are, which I would argue is someone like Slayer, I don't love that style, like that thrash, really fast. It sounds like they just kind of go over and over and over again. I don't love that style. I like more of a progressive metal, that sort of thing, where
Yeah.
they really have a mastery of the instruments. There's vocal range, like there might be, some Cookie Monster vocals, that sort of thing, but there's also some range to it. There's a huge musicianship within that. I feel like there's more musicianship in the accordion. How likely are you to pick up an accordion and have any clue what to do with it past just like...
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's
Very
keys
true.
and there's buttons on them. What do the buttons do? I don't know, but someone who's mastered that instrument does know.
Right.
And Shakira does not know how to play instruments. And even if she does, I don't believe she does.
And even if she does, the accordion is definitely not one of those instruments.
Wouldn't that be something, hey? I feel like Lady Gaga could probably play the accordion.
Yeah.
I just have a hunch. Like, she's got something going that a lot of the other weird, poppy, boring people don't have going. I'm just saying it.
I'll let you know if I ever hear of it.
If I ever meet her, I'm going to ask her.
I will send you that by letter mail.
Thank you. Oh my God. The Amazon guy can ring my fucking doorbell at 8 a.m. and wake my wife up. The funny thing is he didn't wake her up. That was the weird part. So that was our stroller. And the stroller car seat combo and then an extra base for the car seat came, and she didn't hear the door. So she came down, and like second Christmas surprise, we've got a stroller sitting at the bottom of the stairs.
Well, that's exciting.
It was exciting.
That's fun. That's perfect then. Thank you, Amazon man.
Yeah, Dick. You got anything else going on?
That kind of sums me up. Just ready to ring out 2018 and ring in 2019. 2018 was a fabulous year, and I'm very excited for 2019.
Yep,
I'm sure you feel the same. Yeah.
Well, it's going to start out exciting. I'm not drinking for January, February, March at least. And then we'll see where I go from there. So that's actually kind of an exciting thing. That's going to be different for sure. And then there's the kid. But yeah, it starts out really exciting, and then life completely changes from there.
Absolutely, yeah. That's very cool. So will you be drinking this evening?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah.
So tonight's like the last supper of drinking.
Yes.
For a while.
Yes.
Yeah. Good. I will keep that in mind.
Yes. All right.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you for tuning in and being part of our podcast for 2018.
Yeah. We'll see you in 2019, and I don't know, see how metal things are.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Bye, everybody.